You know, if you stop and look around, a lot of the objects you use every single day have these secret histories, kind of hidden in plain sight. I'm talking about your keyboard, your car, even a simple plastic chair. It turns out their design tells a story. So, let's dive in and decode some of these hidden stories that are all around us.
Okay, take a look at this chair. This is literally the most common chair in the world. You've seen it everywhere, right? At cafes and backyards. I mean, from Vietnam to Sweden, this thing is a global superstar. It's so common, it's basically invisible. But what story could a simple piece of plastic like this possibly tell?
Well, it tells a story about how your brain is just wired for familiarity. See, even though this chair is made from one single piece of molded plastic, its shape is intentionally designed to look like a classic, old-school wooden chair. There's no functional reason for it to look like this. None at all. But because that shape feels familiar, our brains trust it, and we're more likely to buy it. It's like a design ghost, haunting a totally modern material.
Here's another one for you. An electric guitar, right? It doesn't need a big, hollow body to make sound. It could be shaped like, well, anything. A block of wood with strings on it would work just fine. So why do they all have those same iconic curves?
Yup, it's all about mimicking their acoustic ancestors. It's to make them feel familiar and comfortable to players. Just like that plastic chair, it's another design ghost, a shape that lost its original job but was kept around just because it felt right.
And what about the keyboard you're probably using at this very moment? The whole QWERTY layout seems completely random, doesn't it? I mean, why aren't the most common letters right where your fingers are?
It's because it was designed 150 years ago to fix a mechanical problem. On old-school typewriters, if you typed too fast, the little metal arms for letters that were close together would literally jam into each other. So the QWERTY layout was invented to deliberately slow typists down by separating those common letters. The problem is long gone, but the solution is still right under our fingertips every single day.
So these chairs, these guitars, these keyboards, they're all examples of this one big design idea. It acts like a bridge to the past, keeping old forms alive. It's got a pretty strange name, but I promise you see it everywhere. Let's talk about skeuomorphism.
So what is skeuomorphism? At its core, it's actually pretty simple. It's just when a new thing inherits design cues from an older thing, even when those cues aren't needed anymore. It's all about making the new feel familiar, less scary, and a lot more intuitive.
The word itself is actually pretty cool. You know how a lot of science words like telescope or telephone come from ancient Greek? Well, this is one of them. Skeuos means tool and morphe means form. So skeuomorphism literally just means to keep the form of the tool, a design that keeps its old shape.
And skeuomorphism had its absolute golden age in the early days of computers. I mean, think about it. How do you teach someone what saving a file even means? Well, you show them a picture of a floppy disk. How do you explain deleting something? You use a trash can. That fake leather look on your old digital calendar or the fake shutter sound on your phone's camera, all of it, all skeuomorphic bridges to help us understand these weird new digital ideas. This whole thing taps into a really important idea in psychology called affordance. The basic theory is that objects themselves signal how we're supposed to use them. A door handle just looks like it affords pulling. A cup affords holding. Back in the day, skeuomorphism was how you created affordance on a screen. You made a button look 3D with shadows and a gradient so that it looked pressable. It was a visual shortcut that screamed, "Hey, click me." But then, everything changed. The design world basically declared war on skeuomorphism. This led to a huge revolution in simplicity, the rise of what we call flat design. The argument was, hey, we're all digitally savvy now. We don't need all this fake lever and fake shadows. It's just clutter. Man, the shift happened fast. In 2012, Microsoft went all in on flat design with its Windows 8 tiles. Then, in 2013, Apple, the king of skeuomorphism, did a complete 180 and flattened everything with iOS 7. By the time Google launched material design in 2014, it was a done deal. The revolution was over. The digital world had been flattened.
And the difference was just night and day. Skeuomorphism was all about trying to mimic the real world, using all these rich textures and details to make things feel familiar. Flat design, on the other hand, just embraced the fact that it was on a screen. It was minimalist, using simple shapes and bold colors to focus purely on clarity and getting the job done.
But there was a huge problem. When Apple dropped the super flat iOS 7, a lot of users felt completely lost.
All of a sudden, you couldn't tell the difference between a button you could press and just a piece of text. The whole affordance system we talked about, it was broken. By stripping away all those familiar visual cues, the interface suddenly got way less intuitive for a whole lot of people.
Okay, but here's the twist. This is where we get into some deeper design history, from avant-garde art to modern cars. Because this new, flat design, it wasn't new at all. And skeuomorphism wasn't just some digital fad, it's actually still alive and well in the physical world.
That minimalist, form follows function idea behind flat design, you can trace it back over a century to art movements like the Soviet avant-garde, which was all about stripping away decoration. It got refined by the famous German Bauhaus school and then turned into a system by the Swiss style, which gave us the grids that modern websites are still built on. Those flat Windows tiles, their design DNA is over 100 years old.
But you know, while software can change with an update, it's a lot harder to erase old design habits from the physical world. And you can see that super clearly today in the world of electric cars.
Take a look at an electric Ford Mustang. An electric car has no engine that needs a big radiator for cooling, and yet it has this giant fake grille right on the front. Why? Because our brains think a car is supposed to have a grille. And look at the wheels. We still call the metal parts spokes, like they're leftover from a horse-drawn carriage. These are physical skeuomorphs, ghosts of an automotive past that we just can't seem to let go of.
So after it got banished from our digital screens and it's just kind of lingering as a ghost in our cars, that brings us to the big question. Is skeuomorphism finally dead and gone? Is it just a relic of the past?
No, absolutely not. In fact, you could argue it's more important right now than it has ever been. It's just taken on a new, much more subtle and much more powerful form.
It's found a new home. It's become the ghost in the machine. And its new job is to be a psychological bridge that makes artificial intelligence feel approachable and less weird. And this time, it's not some accident of history. It's a very deliberate design choice.
Just think about how we interact with AI. We use a chat interface. Why? Because conversation is the most natural human interface there is. And when you see those three little dots that show the AI is typing, that's a skeuomorph. The AI isn't typing, but that little animation simulates a familiar human process to make us feel comfortable and to build trust. We call them assistants or co-pilots, and we say things like, the AI thinks. We're doing it all to map this incredibly abstract technology onto familiar human ideas. This is skeuomorphism as a psychological tool.
So in the end, skeuomorphism was never really just about fake leather. It's always been about psychology. It's the grease in the gears that helps us adapt to new and sometimes unnerving technology. You know, as cars become fully autonomous, they won't technically need a rearview mirror, but I bet you they'll keep one for a long, long time, just to give us a comforting illusion of control. It really makes you wonder, what other ghosts from our past are we actively choosing to carry with us as we design the future?